Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and I'm out on another walk on a very cold but beautiful sunny winter's day in January, and I'm just below Chantonbury Ring, which is actually in front of me. God, blimey, I've got the sun pouring in my face just up ahead, and I'm going to do, I think it's only about 2 miles, a little walk around the fields at the bottom of Wiston, and I'm going to take a stroll along there and come circling back to my van on today. Now, I may have made a bit of a boo-boo. I've been given some sort of, well, they're glorified Wellingtons actually. They're not really walking boots, so but very kind, thanks to Jeffrey for giving those to me. And Barry gave me some gaiters, neither of which I put on today, rather foolishly. I looked at the weather and it said it was like -3 out here this morning till about lunchtime. So I thought, well, the ground will be absolutely rock solid, I won't need them. And of course what's happened is the sun has come out and the ground is melting. So I've got my ordinary boots on, so I may well get a little bit muddy. Hey ho, my fault. It's lovely to have these days in which the sun comes out and we can get out, but of course if we have too many of these days and it warms up too much, those creatures that are hibernating, and actually I think in Britain there's only 3 things that really hibernate. That's the hedgehog, the dormouse and the bats. There's 18 different species of bats in the UK, I read only the other day. I thought that was fascinating. Other mammals of course are not so dormant. They will be out and about scavenging during the daytime to get as much food as they can, because they're surviving on a lot less. The food supply is not so abundant. And bats, of course, rely on flies and midges and insects and things like that, and they don't all die off. I thought they all died off, but actually I understand they sort of go dormant. They go very quiet, but so they're sort of hibernating, but they're insects, so they sort of curl up and go quiet. But if we have too much sunshine, these things will start to think, oh hello, we're warming up, and they'll come out and then they'll find that it goes cold again, and consequently of course there won't be enough food for them. They'll get cold and they may go back into hibernation, but they won't have got enough supplies in them and they'll perish. And I guess that happens all the time, and enough of them do survive. But anyway, it's absolutely beautiful out this morning, I can tell you. It's so lovely with the light low, and I'm often complaining about the light being too low for filming, but sometimes you get these cloudless days and it's just beautiful. It really is. The days are getting longer. We're right, well, nearly at the end of January, not quite at the end of January. And the days are getting longer. In other words, it's lighter in the morning, which is fantastic because during this lockdown period, a lot of people are getting out, of course, and that means the countryside is beginning to be more populated than ever it was. And I think if anything's to come out of this lockdown and the COVID situation is the fact that more people, because they've been forced to stay at home but they can go out and exercise, that they are exploring the countryside more often, despite the government completely wagging its finger and saying stay at home all the time, but we are allowed out. And so that's great, and it does mean with the longer days, of course, people can stay out or gauge their time out at different intervals, so it's not times when it's very crowded. And I personally love to come out when there's nobody, so that you have that sense of isolation and being on your own. I just love that, rather than being out with a million other people, or even one or two. And so far I've yet to see a dog walker, which is usually unusual. It looks like we've got some farm buildings to go through shortly, just ahead of me. I'm always a bit nervous about filming when walking through a footpath on farm buildings, mainly because it's private property, really. You know, you've got permission to go through, and I do like to respect people's privacy, so while I'll go through the farm buildings, I probably won't film in there, because if I own the farm, would I want someone filming, you know, my barns and stuff? You never know who's watching the video and casing the joint, as it were. But the great thing here, if I swing the camera around, I've had the Chantonbury Ring, where is it, behind me all this time. Sorry, I'm in silhouette now, but it's been lovely to be walking in lee of the ring planted by Charles Goring at the end of the 18th century. Very beautiful. Right, we'll go through here. I think I turn right and I sort of meander around and head back next, but I think we go through a little woodland, so that would be interesting. Rather fortuitous, actually. Just bumped in as I was approaching the buildings to a lady who lives here on the farm. I don't know whether she's the owner of the farm or lives in one of the properties, but I think so. Anyway, I said hello and we had a lovely chat, and she follows me, so if you're watching, hello to you. It was absolutely fantastic to have a quick natter with somebody who likes the channel and follows what we do, but so I felt a little bit more less what's the word, nervous about just filming some of the property. Well, I've passed the farm. I'm walking down the hill northwards, away from the farm, through some beautiful woodland, actually. It's interesting, I've just been speaking to the farmer there, who I bumped into. Well, he came up to me actually and said, "What are you doing?" Filming. And I was trying to explain, really, one of the purposes of the Bald Explorer. It's interesting when you have to explain what you're doing, and it actually also helps to remind you what you're doing. Part of what I am doing is trying to encourage people, when they are out walking, to stick to the footpaths, to close the gates, to follow the country code, to not throw their rubbish on the floor, to respect the farms and the places they're going through, and the nature and the landscape. to connect with it, yes, but not to wander off. And it's interesting because the farmer says often people don't know how to read the signs or see the footpaths and that sort of thing, which is a huge surprise really. And I suppose with COVID, as he said, so many more people are out and about, and there they are trying to do their work, and people are wandering off, they're getting lost, they're going through perhaps the wide margins where the wildlife is, and destroying or frightening or, you know, creating problems. And so I was just trying to reassure him that that's actually what I'm doing, and I thought actually I'm reminding myself that that's what I'm doing, is to encourage people to get out, but also not at the expense of other people's land and to abuse the landscape. But of course I don't want to do that in any heavy-handed way. Anyway, so that was that. So now I'm just wandering through this incredible landscape here, and I love woods when it is open like this in the winter without the foliage, you know, you can see. But of course in the spring this is going to be fantastic. It's just going to be wonderful to come back and explore it. That's why I love coming out in all different seasons. Well, it's not been the hugest bit of woodland to go through, but it has been fantastic. A little bit further now, and then it'll get me up to the road, and that's where this video will finish. It's like a beautiful ash tree. I love ash tree. Well, this is the last part of the journey now, just out of the woods, taking I can hear a woodpecker. I don't know if you can hear that. He's stopped. Of course he's stopped. I'm filming. They must know. Anyway, so it's been a fantastic walk. It's now beginning to melt. I wish I had boots on. You probably hear the squelching. This takes me down to the road, and then I'm just going to walk along the road back to complete the circle, which will probably be about half a mile, I suppose. So I'm not going to bother to film that. It's a bit boring, this traffic and all of that, and I want my wits about me in case I get knocked over. But it's been a fantastic walk. It's lovely to go through this woodland during the winter. I can hear the birds chirping away, a woodpecker as I said, and I saw a hedge in which the hawthorn, the buds of the hawthorn, was just beginning to open, which is brilliant. I couldn't film it because I couldn't actually get to it. There was an abrupt ditch with water. But anyway, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe. I think we've got some rain coming, so goodness knows what I should do for the next few days. Sorry, wobbly camera there. But just to give you a bit of the landscape behind me with the sun shining into my face there. But anyway, there we are. Look after yourself. If you do get out, do stick to the footpaths, of course, and have a great time of it. Till next time, thanks for watching. Bye for now. Bye bye.